You know that feeling where you just can watch the conversation you're having go off the rails and you're like, this can't be my fault. I make great conversations. Well, unfortunately, that's sometimes a lie. Sometimes conversations can get off track or start off on the wrong foot, and we all know what it's like to be there, but it seems like a lot of us have no idea why. Before we look at why conversations go wrong and what rules to follow to keep them productive and positive, let's take a look at how they actually work. Most sources out there talk about conversations as a two-way street or dynamic verbal dance. There's an exchange of something involved, whether it's information, argumentation, or entertainment. This means that both parties need to be open to receiving and giving, or listening to the other, so that this exchange can occur. In fact, the listening part is actually more important than the talking part for about 3 reasons. The first is that people are more likely to respect and listen to you when this is reciprocated. The second is that listening allows you to incorporate what you've heard into your reply. And the third is that you can better target exactly what the conversation is about and steer the conversation in a certain direction when you're understanding what the other person is saying. Changing up how actively you listen and how much effort you put into a conversation should definitely help with keeping them on track. But there are a few other reasons why your conversations are going wrong. So let's talk about a few simple questions to ask yourself. For one, you need to know whether the context of the conversation is right. A lot of things factor into that context, such as how much time you're able to give the other person, whether it's the right time for both of you, the conversation setting, and whether there's privacy or distractions anywhere. If you're feeling like the conversation just isn't happening at the right time or place, ask if there's a way that you can have a chat later. It's okay to say that you want to meet at a better time where both of you can focus and have a really good conversation. You also need to ask yourself, am I bringing any unnecessary assumptions into this conversation? Assuming that both parties know what the conversation is about or that you know how the other person views the situation can be harmful to your productivity. Other assumptions you might make can be based on the overall relationship or what you perceive to be the other person's status. Are they older or younger than you? Do they have some sort of job-related or family-related authority? This can impact how much you agree or disagree with them, how much you value their voice, and how you treat them. But often, your assumptions do this unconsciously, and it's hard to get rid of them. So, when you're having a conversation with another person, take the time to check yourself and remember to listen with an open mind. And that brings us to the final bit of our video, which discusses a few tips to keep in mind when having a conversation. Obviously, listening actively and making sure that the conversation is truly a two-way street is critical. From there, you can go to use questions like, what brings you to this event? Or where did you go to school, to find common ground? You want to be friendly and polite. Use the open body language that we discussed in chapter 3 to your advantage here. And finally, don't be afraid to share a bit about yourself too, because that's how you build those emotional connections and it can really make or break your conversations.